Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and thanks for clicking on this video if you're new here. 5 years ago, I made a video called The Downfall of Harry and Meghan, Can They Be Saved? Okay, and that was a very popular video of mine. It had so many comments. I tried to read and respond to all of those comments, and it was basically right around the time where they first announced what was called Megxit by the media, where Harry and Meghan decided that they were going to leave the British royal family and move somewhere else. They said it was going to be Canada at the time and basically chart their own map. And I said in that video, it's kind of funny, like a prophecy, but it was kind of predictable also, that Meghan seemed to want to have the title and have the perks that come with the title without being a duchess, right? And without being a working member of the British royal family, which is really her claim to fame. I know she was on Suits, but Suits was not a household show. It was not Bridgerton. It was not Grey's Anatomy. Shout out to everybody on Suits, but it was just not that type of show that was literally, you know, a huge hit, okay? And it is a big deal to be on a cable network before people say, where is your show? I'm not on TV. I'm not an actress. But it is a big deal. That was an achievement, but I don't know her from Suits. I know her because when it was announced that she and Harry were dating, but even in the article that I saw, it had said, oh, Prince Harry's new girlfriend looks like Pippa Middleton. That was the name of the article. And I looked at her and I was like, okay. Then I moved on. And then the engagement was when it was a big deal. So now I'm going to be talking about not Megxit, but everything that's happened after. Just little bits and pieces, because I have a little archive on my Pinterest. It's a secret Pinterest board of Meghan Markle's endeavors since leaving the royal family. Well, since before and after, just so that like when I would make a lot of videos about her, I had like pictures and proof. And even when she would say things like, I haven't left the house in 4 months, I'm like, but here are the pictures. Anyways, 2020, we know that they left. Meghan went to Canada and Harry went to Canada for Christmas break. Or New Year's, and then they announced Megxit, and Meghan was in Canada. I believe she came back briefly. There was that picture of her leaving the theater because she was a patron of the National Theater, and she left with no rings on, and people were like, is that a message? Did the Queen take the rings? Like, whatever, all that kind of stuff. Then she's seen in Vancouver Island boarding a seaplane. Then we have the images of the dog walk, the famous dog walk, and the baby that looks not like a baby, that looks like a doll, and I believe that it was a doll. And these pictures are not in chronological order, but I'm just going through. This is my 2020 and 2021 file, I guess you could call it that. But we have lots of Meghan and Harry volunteering, giving food to people, with the paparazzi famously literally right down the street, not even with a zoom lens, but literally walking right in front of them as they're going door to door. And that was a big deal. Oh, Harry and Meghan are pictured for the first time in LA. They were on a podcast where Meghan said that she was the most bullied person or the most trolled person in the world, which was proven to be a lie, because you can look up the Google Trends for that year, and she was not the most trolled person on the internet. She wishes she was, but she was not. We have she and Harry going to the UN on that New York tour, where it was September, but Meghan was dressing like it was literally November, and like it was really hot in September that time. I think it was like 80 degrees. We have all of the Zoom calls, and I personally believe that at this time, Meghan and Harry literally thought, okay, all we need is the lockdowns to end, and we will be on top of the world. And at that time, it was still Meghan mania of like, what are they going to do next? What are they going to say next? We have the Time magazine picture. I feel like that came later, but this is somehow in that. I'm just glancing through all the things in my in this file, even though some of these things are probably off. For the most part of 2020 and 2021, it was being in the house, but of course, the biggest thing was the Oprah interview, which was, to me, the one thing that should have never happened. I'm not saying don't tell your story, don't tell your version of events, because I do. But the thing is, there are certain things where, like, at that time, I believe that Harry and Meghan could have been whoever they wanted to be before the Oprah interview. And after the Oprah interview, there were people who definitely were like, oh my God, yeah, racism in the royal family, oh, destroy the royals, da, 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 da. They said that was going to end the monarchy. And it didn't, obviously. But then the thing about it is, I would say it's good that the Megxit community exists, because I was so upset by that interview because it was lies. From a person who used to be a fan and used to run a fan page of Meghan, it was lies. It was literally all lies. And the problem is that, like, we're not living in the 70s or the 60s or the 1500s where there's no, like, even back then there was day-to-day scribes. I mean, 2,000 years ago, people were scribing about Jesus and his life, you know what I mean? So like, and his literal sayings, writing down what he said. There's always been people who scribe, but like, it's as if Meghan herself, and I'm not talking about Harry, I'm talking about Meghan. Meghan will say something today, and then 2 days later, she'll say something completely different, and you're like, you don't remember what you said 2 days ago. And it's so odd because we have cameras and all that kind of stuff, but it's as if she acts like we're not going to remember what she said. I barely left the house in 4 months because I was overexposed. The media had to come out and say we actually did take a lot of pictures of her in Notting Hill, going out with friends and having lunches and doing all this stuff. But because she was not at a working event, we left her alone. We did not sell the pictures, right? Because in America, it doesn't matter who you are or where you are. If you're famous, the paparazzi are going to, who are like really into you as a person, or if you're very, very famous. If Meghan was a Melania Trump, okay, or even a famous politician's wife, and she was going to dinner anywhere, the American paparazzi would have taken photos. There wouldn't have been we only take pictures of her at these political galas, or we just leave her alone. Because the rule with the royal family, because of Diana, all the paparazzi frenzy around Diana, and yes, she did call the paps, but the rule became that, okay, when the royals are out and about at the grocery store, leave them alone. But when they're at Trooping the Color, take as many photos as you want, because that's where they're at work, okay? And we have the infamous picture where they're leaving the dentist, and then Meghan and Harry try to flip it and say that that's where they were at when she had the baby loss. Then we have Meghan giving these speeches where it's like, no videos allowed, because I think Meghan, in my opinion, this is why I fell for the charm when Meghan speaks in a very short capacity, even though she has word salad, when she was freshly engaged, there were a lot of people who were like, oh, who is this? Because she was not an overexposed person like she was now. Okay, yes, she was on Suits, but she was just basically over there, right? To me, what works better is the very highly selected photos from an event. When you just see people, I'm gonna bring her up, and people hate when I do this, Melania Trump. We don't hear her talk that much. She gives speeches, but she's not always jumping in front of the camera. She's not always like, give me the microphone. She is the first lady of the United States. She speaks when she has to speak, and her husband is the president, and he's the one who likes to talk. President Trump loves it. That's his thing. He likes to give speeches. He was in business. He loves to do that, all that, right? Melania, the first time I ever really even heard her speak, like during politics, was when they gave a speech. They were doing the interview, one of the interviews at Trump Tower in New York, and they asked her about Donald, and she was like, I love my husband. I think he's wonderful. I think he has a wonderful mind. I love how he thinks. I love everything about him. And it's like, bro, she's just and let's contrast that. Unfortunately, we have to contrast that with people like former First Lady Michelle Obama, who now has a podcast, and she's destroying her own legacy, in my humble opinion, with this podcast because she's just complaining. She was literally in the high, like, being a president is like being a king. I know, no king, no king. That's what you are. Like, you are, for 4 years, you're basically like a king in a way, right? That's the highest office of the land. That's why they call it that, right? So she was literally like the Queen of America. Let's put it that way, in a way. Living in a house for free. She didn't have to pay for it living in the White House, okay? President Obama got a $400,000 salary, which he did not donate. You don't have to. Trump was the first president, I believe, or one of the first to donate his presidential salary, okay? But Barack Obama was getting a $400,000 salary. I don't think she was making that much as a lawyer in Chicago. I could be wrong, okay? But she's talking about how horrible it was. And I'm like, what is up with these people who hit the pinnacle of life? You are the first Black First Lady of America. And how many years has it been? 16? I don't remember. 8 years? I don't remember. Yeah, 8 years later, however long it's been since she was the First Lady. She's just, the people were saying this and that about me. And I'm just like, yo, what was so bad about it? The media, everybody loved you. She put J. Crew is a legendary label, but when she wore a dress from J. Crew, I even remember being in middle school and people, oh my God, the First Lady, she's so stylish, she wore this, she's doing such great things for the kids, and she's so, you could not say anything bad about the Obamas at all. You could not criticize Barack Obama is the deporter-in-chief. He deported the most people as a president, I believe, in American history. And to this day, nobody cares. Nobody cares. People care about what Trump, they said even if Trump wanted to, he could not deport 4 million people like, President Obama did. And nobody cares because Obama's Black. That's why nobody cares. And she literally got an 8-year pass. Like, she literally got an 8-year pass, and she has worldwide fame and worldwide respect, and was a bestseller, not because we knew her from being a lawyer, but because she is the first Black First Lady in American history in 250 years. And on top of that, now she's on a podcast like, I don't like my husband. I don't like him. He just makes me so mad sometimes. We're not her marriage counselor. Like, we don't really need to know that. We don't really need to know that. And then also, she literally said that, I don't know if you guys, the people who follow me, I don't know if you pay attention to these things, but Michelle Obama literally said out of her own mouth, and I wish I could play the clip, but I don't want to because of potential copyright, on her podcast that is also videoed, that if she was single, she would be sleeping over at this white man's house who's the founder of Airbnb. Imagine if a Black man literally said to some white woman who was a business owner who owned like a whatever brand, was like, yeah, if I was single, I'd be at his house. Oh my God, like, and I'm not saying that you have to be perfect or be like Melania and say you love everything about your husband, which she obviously she doesn't love everything about him, but she also said, they asked him, what's something that you wish you could change about him or something? She's like, I wish that he would put the phone down and stop tweeting sometimes, back when it was called Twitter. But like, she's never been like, I can't stand Donald. I wish I was married to somebody else, but it's so hard. I cannot divorce him. He told me if he divorces me, then I would be sent back to my country, and I don't want that. I have to stay for Barron because he's my sweet little boy, and Trump will take custody of him, and it's so hard. Like, you married that person, and that's your problem. That's your problem. Okay, I don't even know how I got on this rant, but her and Meghan and Michelle Obama complaining, just literally complaining, and it's so awkward. Like, and I feel like it's so embarrassing. Like, it's literally so embarrassing. And yeah, like, did you forget that you were literally the First Lady of America? Like, why are you talking to us about your marital problems? Like, I don't know. That's so strange. To me, that's so strange. Like, and so inappropriate. And it's really giving Queen Vashti. Like, it's really giving Queen Vashti. Like, in the Bible, if you know, you know. But to me, she's the more and more like, she's just, as the years go by, she's just really giving me Queen Vashti vibes. Like, and the crazy part now is like all these red pill bros, the Black red pill manosphere guys are like, you see, that's the problem with Black women because, Obama's going places by himself and he's looking like a single father because, his wife doesn't want to go nowhere with him. And, Hillary and Bill, he cheated on her and embarrassed her in front of the world. But, she still goes wherever he goes and he goes wherever she goes. And it is true that they put on a united front. Like, and we get it. There's a lot of people who, as the years go by, they're just like, why am I with you? But like, at the same time they don't want to start over for whatever reason. But it's like, at least when they have a place to go, they just act like we're in love and we're happy, and it is what it is. Because you have to realize that not every day is going to be sunshine and roses. But you married them. You literally married them. You said, all right, I'm gonna marry you. There you go. You get the good, the bad, the ups, the downs, the this, the that, whatever. Like, it's not like a parent where when you're I had no choice. I literally had no say in who my parents are. I did not fill out a form before God deposited my soul into my mother's womb and say, I want this type of person and this type of person and this type of person. And like, when you give birth to a child, you cannot predict how they're going to turn out either. But when you get married, when you get into a romantic relationship, that's a relationship you picked. Okay? Deal with it. Next. 2022, we have archetypes. We have Meghan thinking that archetypes is going to be the big caboodle. We have Meghan Markle's first rebrand tour of her doing the Cut magazine and Variety magazine and being on magazine covers and having these weird alien looking photo shoots. And then she goes back to the UK or to Europe, and because she went to the Netherlands, and she's thinking, oh, this is going to be great. It's my time to shine. And boom, the queen passes away. And that throws a wrench in their plans, just like Kofifi did 2 years earlier. And they're thinking also, like with the Oprah interview, oh, we're going to drop Harry and Meghan on Netflix and everything's going to be great. I lost my train of thought. Sorry, I took a little break. So we also had the Invictus Games. Yes, all of these things happened before Her Majesty the Queen's death. And then, of course, that threw a wrench in the plans. And it's just seemed as though every time they thought, oh, we're riding high, everything is fine and dandy, we have all these things lined up, it's going to be a busy year. Then all of a sudden, boom. The 40 by 40, all of these projects that are, oh, this is gonna be the big one, and then it didn't happen. So that's all I have for the 2022 file. Next we have 2023, and I'm just gonna go through this. We have the pep walk in that very awkward outfit, and like Meghan does this thing sometimes where she's waving at people instead of standing up and waving. She'll literally like crouch down like this, literally like a goblin, and it's so weird. But that's the picture where she's like, oh hi, and it's like, what is this? Like, what this stand like? What is this? All right, next we have some random pep photos from when she went to. Oh no, that's when she went to that game in that Stod linen suit that was super duper wrinkled that looked like somebody like bunched it up like this. The Kevin Costner thing where she was wearing that really big shawl thing that looks like a poncho that old people wear, and it was just, for someone who's 42, that just aged her, and I could not understand why she couldn't just wear like a black shirt, like a black, or even like a gray or a black like long sleeve. Like this poncho thing was just, it was way too much. It was way too much. Okay, so we have the pictures at Invictus, and then we have the pap walk where it was announced that Spotify was dropping her after Archetypes, so she had a pap walk where she was going to the hair salon, and she was dressed very similarly to the South Korean singer who was announced to be the new face of Dior, because that was when there was the Meghan Markle manifesting, as they call it. On Reddit, they basically say every time Meghan puts out that she's going to have this huge brand deal or go to the Met Gala or whatever in the papers, or anytime the papers write that it's Meghan manifesting that. The Katy Perry concert, and she was wearing is this Versace? Is it Oscar de la Renta? One of those brands, I think, in Las Vegas, wearing black stockings, high heels, and a very expensive dress to a Katy Perry concert. And that's why I said it before, that I believe that Meghan basically bought a wardrobe. Like, I do this too, okay? I buy, but you don't see this stuff because I save clothes for occasions. But Meghan dresses so bizarre and inappropriately to events because I personally believe that she and Harry don't really have a real social calendar and that they do not get invited to real events. So whenever there is an event where she knows paps are going to be, she overdresses very bizarrely. Then we have the Pat Tillman Award acceptance, and then we have this random ribbon cutting in November, which was so weird. And then we have a random pap photo of her in that big hat, and we have another where she went hiking with Marcus Anderson and some other people on Coronation Day with those weird looking aviator sunglasses. Then we have them wearing when she had the blue dress on where she got the NAACP award with Doria, and then that may have been 2021, but I don't know, I have it in my 2023 file. And then we have the New York City car chase with the Hertz, the green why am I talking weird? The gold dress, the Hertz dress. The Hertz dress. Okay. Then we have when she went to the Variety's Power of Women in 2023, where she wore that beige off-shoulder dress, and they asked about the Christmas traditions for the kids, and she said, oh, our little ones are little, whatever that means. Then we have some photos that Archwell released, where Meghan visited some charities, and she has, oh, thank you so much for me being here. Oh my gosh, this hug. And then we have, oh, this one really bothered me. I like the outfit, but it really bothered me. Where they talked to bereaved parents for the first time, and she's like, yeah, Archie and Lily are too young to be on the internet, so this stuff doesn't affect them like the way it affected your kids. And then we have random pap photos of her getting on a private plane. That one video that people thought was AI generated, where she's like in a basement. It looks like they're literally in a basement, and she has like a light right behind her head, so it literally looks like AI. What else is there? The pap walk where she's leaving with Gloria Steinem, where she's going to sushi, and Cameron Diaz and her husband are in front of them. So people were like, oh, it was a date night with friends. And people were like, okay, we can't really confirm that. Or maybe they were just going into the same restaurant. All right. Then we have when it was Meghan's birthday dinner and she left with some guy and Harry was like just standing there like he was going home in a different car, which was so weird. And then we have where she wore a chestnut brown Valentino suit for Misan Harriman's short film debut. And she was like interviewing him on the panel, but those videos never came out. So I think that Meghan does better in photos where it's like very curated than in videos where she's talking too much and does the word Kamala Harris word salad. Ginormous wool coat at the restaurant with her friend Claire Wade Keller, who made the her wedding dress. We have where she went to the premiere of the Highbrow Hippie thing. We have the Quasi-Royal tour in Colombia. We have where she met the Afghan women with Archwell, and it was like they had all this product placement from our place, the cookery place. We have where she went to some Black History Month or Black Art exhibit, and she was wearing one of those coats that looked very Hillary Clinton, that was just really aging her. It's like sometimes she'll dress like she's like 80, and it's weird. Like, she doesn't need to do all that. Then we have the South by Southwest thing where she was wearing a skirt that people said looked like a tablecloth because it was literally dragging on the floor and had no shape to it. And then we have where she was going to a business meeting with some of some VIP people, Oprah's friends or something to that effect. Bizarre photoshopped Christmas card with the kids. To the bookstore, and she did the pap walk outside of the bookstore in the rice picker hat is what people were calling it. And then we have where she did the little engagement with Girls Inc. and I'm a Duchess. Then we have where she was on that red carpet, dressed very inappropriately in the red that red dress. And then we have the Nigeria tour. And then we have where she was in the Hamptons doing business deals, the business stuff. Then we have where she went to the tennis thing. I want to say this was Harry's birthday. I feel like it was on Harry's birthday. I don't really remember. Then we have the interview with CBS on Sundays. Is it CBS? Something like that. Where, you know, I haven't even scratched the surface of how I feel, and I didn't expect you to ask me that, but you know. And we have Polo. Yeah, I started off with a bang because Meghan announced, I'm back on Instagram. And then we had the With Love Meghan trailer that everybody was like, is this a joke? And then we had them being disaster tourists. And then we have them in Canada, and we have the weird Billie Eilish video where she's like, she was just, some people think it was snowing, okay? Over to New York to Soho House to meet her fans and do a private screening of With Love Meghan. And then she's on the Drew Barrymore show, and then she's pictured with Gloria Steinem. So then we have the With Love Meghan premiere, and then we have all these outfits. Some of them I liked, okay? Some of the pieces I liked. Some of them were very impractical for cooking, okay? Then we have Meghan post about International Women's Day, and she does so posting a picture of herself and Harry on an island to prove, oh my God, we're so in love. And so where are we? 5 years after Megxit, where are we? 5 years after. Meghan's peak was her engagement, and the first less than a year. The first year of her being in the British royal family, that was her peak. And she's still riding on those fumes of like linking her wedding makeup, linking, you know, those times. And like, but yeah, it's interesting. And can we keep this up for another 5 years? Probably not. We'll see what's going on in 5 years, in 2030. If there's even going to be a Duchess of Sussex, or if Meghan and Harry get a divorce, and then the titles just revert back to go into abeyance or whatever, who knows? We'll see what happens. Wait, I almost forgot the twerking. I was going to make a separate video about this, but I'm not going to. I was so shocked and disturbed by that video, and I had to call Paula like immediately because I could not believe what I was seeing. So we talked about it for a while. I talked to P. Dinah for a while. It was just like really crazy. Like, I was genuinely shocked. And it was just so honestly grotesque, not because she's Meghan Markle, but because she's a member, or was a member, of the British royal family. Like, that to me is just like so disrespectful to even show that and put it on social media. I'm a normal person, and I would not upload a video of myself twerking on social media. And it was just it was disgusting. It was literally disgusting. I don't care that, oh, she's trying to induce labor. Please. I don't care. I literally don't care. It's just grotesque. It's literally grotesque. Like, it's gross. And you're always like, oh, I'm classy. I can't even say the B word. Can I say it? I don't know, on your podcast. And then you're literally trying to drop it like it's hot. Let it down like it's warm. Drop it down and pick it up. Pregnant. A whole Duchess. I'm the Duchess, you know, I'm just the Duchess. And I'm not saying you can't get down and have fun, but to me it was honestly repulsive. Like, I was just clutching my pearls like this. And no, I don't twerk. But yeah, you probably go to the club and you twerk. No, I don't. I literally go to the club if I go to the club and stand there. The last time I went to the club was 2022, and then I went recently and I just stood there. I just literally was just standing there. But yeah, guys, that's it. That's it. That's it, guys. From riding around in carriages to twerking on Instagram in 5 years.